welcome back. We're going to tackle making the cut files for the 3D, for the laser cutter right now. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn on the assembled part and just kind of take a look at sort of where we came from to where we are now, right? Which is kind of cool. Actually, where we came from is like over here, right? It was a blank white screen, then we made this, and then we broke it down to that. So that's kind of cool. And now we're going to make what's called the DXF files. To do that, I'm going to go straight on from the front so I can see everything. I'm going to create a construction plane. And what I'm going to do is create the construction plane just inside the first layer of stuff. Let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to come here and do an offset plane. I'm going to pick any surface. I'm just going to grab this one right here. Doesn't matter which one you do. And I want to move this right now. That construction plane is on the surface of the piece. I want to move it just inside the surface of the piece, so just below the surface. So if I tip it to the side, I see that the arrow right now is pointing above the surface. I want to go below, so I'm going to do a negative to go the other way. And I'm just going to do a little bit, 0.1, and I'm going to click OK. Now if I rotate this and look at it from the top, you can see where the plane is. You can see that yellow line, that orange line right across the middle there is where the plane is. It's just inside the front surface of that first layer. So you can see it's just in that first layer. So now once I have that, I'm going to go back out to the front view and I'm going to create a sketch on that plane I just made. And then I'm going to go up here and use the intersect tool. And what the intersect tool does is it draws a line wherever the body intersects that sketch plane. And because I put it just down into it, they should all intersect. So let's take a look. When I go on here, I should see a red outline showing me that there's going to be some intersection, but I don't see anything. And that's because I have this different selection filter. I have the entity selection filter on. I need to put the whole body because I want to see where the body goes in, and now I see it's nice and bright red, which means it's going to draw a line for me. So I'm going to click on that one. And any of them that glow red when I mouse over them, I'm going to click on. This one I'm going to leave off because I don't want this is the clear plastic that goes as the lens. I don't want that made out of plywood. So I'm going to do that one in a different file. There. That one turned red. That one turned red. That one did. That one did. Those all have red outlines. Good. Every single one of them should have a red outline right now because they're all at least one layer, and this is the first layer. So here, here, and here. Now this is interesting. Watch this piece. So when I hover over this one, notice how it does a red outline for here, but not for this rounded part. And that's because this rounded part is not on the first layer. It's lower down. I'll show you what I mean by that. I click here. And when I tip this, notice that this shape is on the first layer and these are on the lower layers. So we're not going to get an outline of them yet. We're going to get those on future layers. And I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to click on everything this time. So everything is definitely at least one layer thick. Okay, make sure I've gotten everything. Yep, I got everything except the clear one right there, which is what I wanted. And I'm going to say OK. It's going to take a second. It's going to draw out all those different lines for us. And there it is. We can hide the flattened, and we can just see what things we have. So we have all of our pieces just like that. Now, the last thing we need to do, ooh, that's going to be super tricky. I should have done that a little differently before. But we can do it this way. I'll be fine. All right. So last thing we need to do is we need to find a total height. Because when we take this from Fusion and we put it into Inkscape, it's going to put it at a random dimension, and we need to make it to its correct dimension. So we need to know the total height of our drawing here. So to do that, I've got to do a little bit of work. First of all, I'm going to look at all these pieces and figure out, is there one that's clearly higher than all the others? For me, this one on the far left is the clearly higher one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start on this one. I'm going to grab a construction line. And I'm going to delete all this in a second, but I'm just going to grab a construction line and go all the way across like this. And I'm going to keep it at 0. See how it says 0 degrees there? I'm going to keep it at that 0 degrees. And I'm just going to do a line straight across. Now, escape to get out of the tool. To make sure it's straight across, I'm going to grab this horizontal vertical tool and I'm going to click on this line. And if it says fail to solve, it's because it was already horizontal. If it was tipped a little bit, it'll straighten it back up for you. So just make sure to do that. So that's the very top of my drawing. And then I want to do the same thing for the very bottom of it. So I'm going to come down here and zoom in and take a look to see if one's clearly lower than the others. I think this one might be. So I'm going to just take a line. And this time I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm just going to draw a line under the whole thing. Not worrying about, I'm keeping that line nice and, well, let's see if I just do it a little bit, oops. So right there, I'm just going to draw it anywhere like that. And what I'm going to do is use my constraint to make sure it's horizontal. And it was, because it said failed to resolve. And then I'm going to use my collinear tool. And I'm going to try to find the one that's the lowest. I think it's this one. And I'm just going to make this collinear with that. Boom, so it snapped it right up there. I'm just going to check to see if there's anything. Yep, so that is the lowest spot. See how all your pieces are above? So that's another way of doing it. If that didn't work and there was a piece that was lower, I would have to, Control Z to undo what I just did, and then I would know which piece to do it at. So that's just, we got to find our lowest spot and our highest spot. And then we're going to simply come up here to find this distance. This is the total height between these two dashed lines. We need to come up here and do the measure tool. Click on this line, and we're going to write that number down in all of its decimal places. Don't leave out decimal places. This is how you're going to resize it to be actual size. And if you have the wrong number, none of your joints will fit with each other. So you got to get it just right. So this is going to be 88.551 centimeters. I just wrote that down so I have it for later. I'm going to hit close on the measure tool. I'm going to click on these lines I just created. I don't actually want them part of my drawing. And I'm just going to delete them. All right. And now I'm going to go to my sketches folder. At the very bottom will be the sketch I just made. And it'll still be highlighted as being visible. I'm just going to turn it off to make sure. Yep, that's the one. And I'm going to call this sketch Layer 1. And then next to it, I'm going to write that number. I'm going to record that number, 88. I'm going to use a comma instead of a period because periods sometimes get in the way of file names. So I'm going to use the comma like a period. So that's not supposed to be 88,551. It's 88.551. I still remember that I used the comma instead of a decimal. Interesting fact, in Europe, that's how they do it. From us, they use the comma and decimal the other way. So decimals mean commas. So if you wrote 9,400, you put 9 period 400. And if you wrote 9.4, you'd put 9,4. Just weird. All right, so that layer is ready to go, all good. We're going to say finish sketch. That sketch is done, and I'm just going to hide it. And then I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going to turn my flattened pieces back on so I can see them again. And now I'm going to make layer 2. So I'm going to create a construction plane. Instead of moving it down just 0.1, I'm going to move it down an entire thickness and 0.1. I'll show you that in just a second. All right, so now we're ready to do layer 2. So the first thing we're going to do is create a offset construction plane on the same thing or just one thing. It doesn't really matter which one you do it on because they're all on the same level. And this time last time we brought it down just like 0.1 centimeters just to get it inside the plane. Well, this time we want to take it a full thickness down. So here we're going to go minus thickness. Whoops. Let me cancel that real quick. I did not make my construction plane. So I'm going to come down here on the lower part of the screen. I'm going to right click and say edit feature, and that'll get that construction plane back. So I want to do a minus thickness, enter. That pulls me to the very top of the first layer, and then I'm going to go just a little bit farther, just like I did before. So I want to be inside that second layer. So I'm going to say minus, because I still want to keep going down, 0.1. So a thickness minus 0.1, that puts me inside the second layer. Enter. Now I create a sketch on that plane. And now I'm going to do intersect tool. So wherever this thing intersects, I'm going to be able to grab it. So I'm going to go here to project, to intersect. And now notice that this outside bit doesn't intersect. If I tip it over from the side, whoa, that was not right. If I look at it from this left side, I can see this green line here is my plane, and you can see it's not in the first layer, it's in the second layer, so that this piece in the left only has this back piece going through it. So when that happens, I only get, front real quick, I only get that little square. So that's what's going on with that. This one doesn't have a second layer, so there's nothing that's going to be taken care of for it. And so I can just go through and click on all of them, or I can just click on the ones that have red. I find that I make mistakes. Oh, there's one with red. So make sure if you're doing it just by looking for the red that you're being careful, especially with these, because they're already, there's a red one with some red. I'm just going to click on all of them to be safe. And I'm going to try something real quick I haven't tried before. I'm going to see if I can actually select them from inside the bodies menu. So I know I want to get all of these. So what if I were to, yeah, what can I shift click? Oh, that's a game changer. All right, so what I'm going to do is actually cancel this. I'm going to show you a much easier way to do it. So create, project include, intersect, click on the top one, hold down the shift button, find the bottom one, click on it. You just highlighted all the pieces, click OK. Now you'll notice that a lot of these pieces did not have drawings made. So check this out. I've got to go, I'm going to actually hide the, yeah, I'm going to hide those. And notice these are the only pieces that have more than one layer to them. The rest of them have one layer. So this is all that was drawn for me. So this is layer 2, which is really cool. We do need, though, that same height dimension for layer 2, but it's pretty easy because it looks like this is the tallest one. So I'm going to take a construction line. Well, that's the top one, right? I'm going to go from this corner over at 0 degrees. That just gives me a line to measure from. And now I've got to figure out, is it clear which one of these is... I think this one's lower, but I gotta check because I can't really tell. So I'm just gonna grab from this corner. Let's check that angle, 180, yeah. So the one on the right, so I'm gonna escape out of that. I don't need that second line now. Uh-oh. There we go. I don't need that second line. Now that I know this one's the lower one, I can just do a measurement from there up to this line. So I'm going to do a measure here to here, 69.133. Okay, so I'm going to write that number down so I have it for later. 69.133. Make sure you get that number exactly right. You don't want to round it or anything weird like that. You're going to need that measurement later. I'm going to say finish sketch. I'm going to come down here to Sketch 83, and I'm going to change the name to Layer 2-69. And again, I'm going to use commas instead of periods because periods cause trouble in file names. And right there. So that's Layer 2. I'm going to go ahead and turn that one off. And I'm going to come back up here. And I'm going to turn this one back on. Oh wow, I got really zoomed out on that. That's weird. And then, yeah, so now layer 3. So I'm going to keep doing that process. I've got to do 10 layers to get all the way back to this full thickness here. So layer 2 is next, or layer 3 is next, sorry. So construction plane, choose one. This time I'm going to go minus thickness, and I want to get back to the third layer. So I'm going to go too deep into it. That'll get me to the top of the third layer. So minus thickness times 2. 2 layers thickness, the top of the third layer, minus 0.1. Because I want to go a little bit into the third layer. Enter. Whoops. What's wrong? Okay, let me just retype it real quick. Something went dramatically wrong. Minus thickness. Oh, I never pushed enter on the thickness, so I never set it. Times 2, that gets me to the top of the third layer. Minus 0.1 gets me just inside the third layer. Awesome. Now I'm going to create a sketch. Just like that. I'm going to come over here to my bodies. I'm going to click on the first one, go down to the bottom one, hold shift, click on it. All of them are highlighted. Except I didn't do the intersect tool. Let's see if I can do it afterwards. Intersect. Oh yeah, I already got it. 39 objects are selected. And I want bodies and not entities, so make sure that's checked. And then click OK. All right, so now I'm going to hide the bodies just to make sure I've got something that looks reasonable. And yeah, you can tell there was another piece up here before, but now that piece is gone because it only had 2 layers. So terrific. Everything gets smaller and smaller. Fewer and fewer pieces are thick. All right, so it looks like this is the highest point up top. And let's see, that one over there is the lowest point. So I need to have a line going across so I can measure up and down. I'm going to go here, click on this one, straight over. And I'm going to delete it, so it doesn't need to be a construction line. I can leave it just like that, actually. And then I think this was the lower one. 50.613. I'm going to write that down real quick. 50.613. And then I'm going to close the measurement box. Delete that old line because I don't want it part of my sketch. And then I'm going to come down here to my sketches. And I'm going to save this sketch as layer 3. Excuse me. 50,613. And I'm just going to keep doing that process till I get layer 10. Finish sketch. Hide the sketch. Go back up. Turn them back on. Do a construction plane. This time I'm going to go minus thickness times 3 instead of 2. Minus 0.1. Enter. And I'm going to create the sketch on there. On your little piece of paper on the side, you can write down like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And actually at 8 you'll be done, but every time you do one you can mark one off. Well, you'll be done at 9, I should say, once you've used thickness times 9. And now I'm going to do do a sketch on the construction plane, and then create an intersection, highlight all of the pieces, shift to highlight the last one, and then click OK. And it still looks like it's drawing all those things, except now it's not drawing those. So let's show that, hide all of them. And now you can see these little pieces are gone because they were only 3 layers thick. And we're down into the 4th layer now. Okay, so all these things should continue to pop up, and they should go all the way through the 10 layers. So let's go ahead and do a quick measurement here. And let's just see what happens if I measure from here to here. See, this is what we don't want. I think actually maybe, yeah, so we don't want that diagonal. We want the vertical. That's why we're having to draw that line every time. So let me just draw a line. I know it's going to be this one on the right here. So I just use the line tool. And I'm going to do the measure. I'm going to go from the bottom to that line. I need that straight measurement like that. So 49.676. 49.676. So way down here at the bottom, I'm going to get out of this menu, the measure menu. If I have that open, I can't save it or can't do anything to the sketch, can't change the name. And I'm going to call this layer 4 dash, and I'm on 49.676. So 49,676. Enter. Awesome. Now I'm going to finish the sketch first and then hide it. And then I'm going to come all the way back up here. Turn my parts back on. Maybe I'll even just go ahead and select them right now. Oh no, I can't do it right now. I got to do a construction plane first. Cancel that. Chose the wrong spot. And then I'm going to do here negative thickness times, which one am I on? So if I check down here, I'm trying to make sketch 5, so I'm going to be times 4. So negative thickness times 4 minus 0.1. Enter. And now that's in the right place. And I'm going to click on that. Now I need to go highlight all my objects. So click on the bottom one, hold down Shift, click on the top one, and then go to Create. You can do this in either order and click OK. All right, awesome. Now I'm going to hide this one so I can see kind of what's going on. And it looks like I've got that same scenario, but let me go ahead and just to be careful, I'm going to measure it. Because what I don't want to do is assume it's the same and be wrong. Because that will throw off this layer of parts will be a different size if I don't get this number right. And I'm going to do measure from this line to that line. Yeah, it's a little lower. 49.676. 49.676. It's the same as before. That's cool. That was kind of expected. Close. I'm going to just highlight this one, delete this one, and then say finish sketch. Come down here and name it. So we're going to say this is layer 5 and 49.676. 49,676. Now we're just going to keep churning, right? So we're looking at layer 6 now. So we're going to drop down 5 thicknesses. Let's see, I'm going to do a offset. So thickness, negative thickness times 5, because we're looking for layer 6, minus 0.1, enter a little bit down to layer 6, and then here, awesome. And now we're going to just highlight all of our objects. Go to create, pattern include, intersect, okay. And then just to make sure, we should be getting pretty similar results every time. Yeah. No, I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to go ahead and draw the line. It'll just take a second to draw the line. Don't get lazy. You might regret it later. Measure. Uh-oh, it froze up. There it is. Measure. And then this one. 49,676. Okay, that's what I thought it would be, but just thought I would check. And close. Click on this one. Delete it. Finish that sketch. Come down here to the bottom. Name it layer 6. 49,676. All right, we've got 4 more layers to do. So hide that one. Come back up here to the top. And turn those back on. Create a construction plane. We're going to do thickness, negative thickness times 6 minus 0.01. Oh, sorry, 0.1. It could be 0.01 too. As long as you get just a tiny bit into that next layer, you're good. And then we're going to create a sketch plane on it. We are going to, you can do it this way too, so you can bring up the intersect tool and then do the selection, or you can select them and then do the intersect tool. Click OK. Again, I'm just going to go through the same steps because I want to be really careful now, because something is like this bottom part's changed. So it seems like the top is the same, so it's probably the same distance, but just be careful because this top piece might actually, depending on how you made it, might be a different shape on different layers, so you might get a different height. And if you're wrong on this distance, it's how you're going to scale your parts down in the next part. So if you're wrong on that distance, there'll be a layer in the middle that'll be the wrong size. It's going to throw, you're going to be so disappointed. It's so worth taking a few extra seconds to make sure that you're actually having the right number measured. And that's true down here. Every time I'm looking across, checking, I can see how this one's a little bit closer to the grid than this one is, so it's a little bit lower down. I'm still checking for the lowest one every time, because that could change. Oh, wait, did it just change? No, 49.676. Okay. Well, that would have been surprising had that changed. So first, I'm going to close out the measurement window. I'm going to delete this one, finish my sketch, come down here and find my sketch and rename it. Stay organized. Don't skip the naming sections. It'll be like, hey, this naming stuff is getting dry and boring. I'm not going to do it anymore. You're going to have a hard time finding this stuff later. All right. So that's layer 7 all done. And we just have 3 layers to go. So we're averaging 2 or 3 minutes per layer, which isn't too bad. Here. So this is going to be negative thickness times 7, because I think we're on layer 8. Let me make sure. Yep, times 7 minus 0.1. Enter, and then create that. And we need now to go highlight all of our good friends here. Hold down Shift, click on the top and the bottom one, and then go to create, project, include, intersect. Click OK. And now we're going to hide all of these, and yay, we're getting close. Nice. And we're going to just do a quick check to make sure that we are in fact here. And now I'm looking, I can see this one's still the lowest one, and it's going to be the same value. Yeah, the same value. Again, worth checking because a mistake there is painful. Very painful when you go to build it. And I'm going to finish the sketch. Yep, got rid of the line. Finish the sketch, come down here, and I'm going to call this layer 8. And it's going to be the same, 49,676. Enter. That's layer 8. Turn it off. I'm going to jam back up here, turn it back on, hit a construction plane, minus thickness times 8 minus 0.1 because we're trying to do layer 9. Oh, it's starting to get a little freezy. You know what I'm going to do after I make this sketch? I'm going to do just a quick Control S for save. And I'm going to save this because it's getting a little glitchy on me. I don't want to lose the work I've done. That would be frustrating. Give it a second to save. Okay, there we go. And now I've got my plane. So all I need to do now is highlight my objects. Shift click on the last one. Create, project, include, intersect, and OK. Again, I'm just going to check. I'm going to hide my objects. And all right. That looks pretty good. I'm going to measure it one more time. So I'm going to draw this line over. Escape out of the rest of the tool. And then go to the measure and just click here. I'm going to make sure again. Yep, this one's still the lowest one. And same value, so that's good. I'm going to close out of that tool, delete the line I drew, finish the sketch, down to the bottom, rename the sketch, and this is layer 949,676. Enter. Now this next one's probably going to be a different value. We'll have to see. Well, who knows? We'll find out. And now let's do it all over again. One last time. We're almost there. Let's see. I go to turn this on. Construction plane. Draw construction plane. This time I'm doing minus thickness times 9 minus 0.1. That gets me into the 10th layer. And now I'm going to... Controls, yeah, I chose the wrong thing. I didn't get the construction plane, so I'm going to redo that. Do a sketch on the construction plane, and then highlight all of these. Hold down Shift, click on the last one. Create, project include, intersect. Click OK. Come back up here and hide the flattened ones. Oh, now you can start seeing how different it looks. Because now we're on the outside face, so we're getting all the outside, all the large outside stuff. So this is going to be a different measurement for sure. And so I'm going to come down here and figure out which of these is the lower one. Let's see. Yep, still this one on the right. So I'm going to still come up here to the highest point. And this higher point's different too because there's a little tab up here. So this is why we always check, because sometimes it's surprising. I'm going to draw a nice long line out to the side so I can definitely get past where that foot is. Right there. Escape. And then I'm going to come down here and do a measure from this long line into one of these bottom lines. And let's see what we got. 62.475. So I'm going to write that number down real quick. 62.475. And that's it. I just got to delete this line. So I'm going to click on it, hit delete. Oops, hit delete. Close out that measurement window and then come down here. Finish sketch first. Come down here to the bottom and change the name to layer 10 at 62.475. So 62,475. Enter. Woo-wee. All right, last thing we need to do is we need to make a DXF of each of these 10 layers and name the DXF exactly what you've named it here, layer 1, whatever. Put it in a folder for your DXF files. I'll show you the first one and then you can do the rest of the 10 on your own. So I'm going to right click on these and I'm going to say save as DXF. And I'm going to call this one layer 1 dash 88,551. Here's where you want to start using, make sure you're using commas because a period here will indicate a file type next, and you don't want to do that. And then I'm going to hit, well, first I'm going to go to the right place. So I'm going to go to where my stuff is. For me, it's in desk lamps. And it's in this folder, and then DXF files. And I already have these, so I'm going to add the new one for the 60 centimeter person. I'm going to call this one 60 centimeter. I'm going to put these layers in here, and I'm just going to hit save. Give it a second to do its magic, and then do the same thing for layer 2. Right click, save as DXF. It's right there. I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to call it layer 2, and then change this number. And it's just that easy. It'll just take us a minute or two to finish this up. 69,133. Whoops. Save. All right. The rest is yours to do. The next video will show you how to open this into Inkscape and start creating everything for the actual laser cutting. You're so close. If you've made it this far, do not give up. You're doing a great job. Keep it up.